Hi, it's Cecily with Revival Nutrition and Health, here with another Tuesday's Truth. Today, I think it's a pretty important and impactful truth that you should hear. I'm going to be talking about why it is that when you go to your doctor and you get a bunch of blood work done, that your blood work can come back looking completely normal, even though you feel like something isn't quite right. So the big question is have you ever been to the doctor because you don't feel well, only to find out that your blood work looks perfectly normal, and so you're sent on your way? I know that I have personally many times had that same exact scenario happen. I've gone in, I've been absolutely positive that they were going to find something in my blood work because I didn't feel well. And been told that everything, actually, I've literally been told that I was healthy. I was as healthy as a 17-year-old. So I get this a lot. A lot of my clients come to me with, books worth of blood work and lab work that they've been told is all within normal range, and yet they absolutely don't feel well. So how does this happen? What's the problem here, and how do we fix this? Well, there are two types of ranges that are used to be able to analyze this blood work that comes back. One is called a standard range, and hopefully, this is super important, guys, hopefully when you go to your doctor, you're asking to receive copies of your blood work. You always want to keep any kind of lab work on file. You need to create a file just for your own health. And so you should be asking for them to either mail, email, or hand you copies of your blood work. So if you pull that out and you take a look at it, on the right-hand side, you're going to see what's called a standard range. This is a very broad range. And the flip side of this is that the other range is called a functional range. And this is a much tighter range. So they're bringing it in on both sides. A standard range, or a clinical range, it's sometimes called, this range is really used to diagnose a disease. They're looking for absolute, already in progress disease. The functional blood chemistry analysis ranges are designed, like I said, they bring them in. They're these tighter ranges, which is super important if we're looking to help people prevent prevent disease or prevent the progression of the disease. So let me give you an example. A really good example is looking at glucose levels. And I'm using glucose because I've seen a lot of people come in with what they're being told is normal glucose levels. And when I look at their glucose levels, I can see that we have an opportunity to work on some diet and lifestyle changes to be able to bring that number down, because it's already a concern for me as a functional practitioner. So that, I'm just going to pull up these numbers so that I give you the right ranges. But basically, the clinical range for glucose is going to be somewhere between 65 and 110. And if we look at it from a functional range, it's much tighter. It's between 80 and 95. So what does that help us do? That, like I said, that helps us to prevent disease. So if somebody comes into my office and I see glucose at 100, then I know that we're all, this person is already well on their way to becoming a diabetic. And so knowing the difference between these two types of ranges is really important for empowering the patient. So that, when you go to a doctor and you don't feel well, I think we intuitively know something just isn't quite right. And then when we're told that everything is fine, we leave deflated. We leave thinking, well, am I crazy here? The answer is no, you're not. You're not at all. you just need to be able to find somebody that can interpret your blood chemistry analysis in a way that helps to really prevent, like I said, either prevent the development of a disease or prevent the progression of something that's really, really close to becoming a disease. So it's super important for everybody to understand that there's two different kinds of ranges, and one is just to basically say, yes, you have a disease, and one is looking at, is this person, if this person stays on the same trajectory, are they going to be developing a disease? And of course, we always want to work from a preventative perspective. So I would say never settle for everything looks normal, because if you're feeling not normal, but your blood work says normal, you're not the problem. The problem is the way that the tests are being interpreted. And another really important thing to understand about the difference between the analysis of this blood work is that your typical, conventional medicine will look at each of these line items individually, and they're really missing some important information. Functional blood chemistry analysis, we're taught to look at the whole, the collection of all of these results, because they are connected. There are, for cardiovascular disease, for instance, there's like 10 markers that we can look at to really drill down to see, what is the risk here. And so looking at line items individually is not going to help with prevention of disease. And in fact, from our perspective, some people may already be well outside of those ranges and well on their way to disease. And we can manipulate things and get started on reversing anything before it gets out of control, before it becomes too serious. So those are two really big things that I think that everybody that doesn't feel well out there should know. Like I said, do not settle for everything looks normal, and certainly don't settle for, if you're not feeling well, you're as healthy as a 17-year-old, like I was told. Keep searching for a practitioner that uses these functional blood chemistry analysis ranges, and it's okay to get on the phone with, you find somebody, you do a Google search, you're looking for a practitioner that's going to fit your needs. Ask questions. You're basically handing yourself over to these people and hoping that they can fix whatever's going on, hoping that they can help you fully understand your health, your wellness. And so for you to interview your potential doctor, it's absolutely okay. And one of those questions that I would throw out there is, if I'm going to come in for lab work, do you guys use a standard range or do you use a functional range? Totally legitimate and very, very important question to ask. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there and ask all the right questions. And like I said, don't settle for this idea that everything is normal if you don't feel well. So I hope this was helpful, and until next week, be well.